Hey there, guys. Some of you asked me to go back to the Asura 3-star fight with new units, so we're going to be doing Asura 3-star with all missions using 2B. So Barry's got me a nice 2B setup, and a big shout out to the rest of my friends that built me a 2B, but this time Barry's finally getting his moment in the sun. So let's get to the 3-star Asura fight with this party and try to get it relatively quickly. At least quicker than the last clear that I did. So, starting right away out the gate, there's some RNG. 2Bs might get hit here. Let's see what happens. Looks like neither one got hit, which is great. So that ambush is physical. You can either mirage it with auto mirage, evade it, or resist it. The whole party is evading except for 2B. She's got 70 natural evade, and I didn't want to lower her damage any by gearing any more evade than that, so we just RNG'd it. 70% chance to miss, 30% chance to hit. That time it worked. If it had killed a 2B, we just retreat and come back in. Anyway, let's get to the fight. So we're going to use Nicole to do Imbue. And then we're going to do a bigger amplify on the friend, because the friend is EX3, higher stats than mine. They're getting the big amplify. And then we're going to flood. We're going to use Maeve to base form LB. We're choosing Maeve mostly because her LB is cheaper than Ling's is. Ling's LB costs 90 crystals, Maeve's costs 60. It's a lot easier to do every single turn. And now we're going to burst the boss. We're going to start in the base form with 2B and then go to the shift form. And the reason for that is because Call of the Wild. You'll see as we do this fight. Now, before we do that, though, we're going to use Kaito's shifted LB to break the boss as well as disease the boss with the weapon he's using. Now, this boss has no passive stats, and with Kaito's break plus disease, it's effectively a 98% defense break. So right now, the boss has like no defense, very easy kill. Even though the window says 88, it's not counting the disease. When disease works, it's an extra 10% on top. And the boss has no passive stats. So very easy turn 1 OTK for phase 1. And that boosted the modifier of 2B's base form by doing that. Now, because we're using Call of the Wild on 2B and we Brave shifted, that, along with Kresnik quad attacking, is going to guarantee fill 2B every single turn. So notice 2B's LB, Call of the Wild kicks in, rest of the way. So we can LB every single turn with this setup. Now we're in phase 2 and we of course miraged it all thanks to Maeve. Now this turn, Maeve's going to use her cooldown for Mirage Wild Guard, and we'll do double bolting to eat some counterattacks. The counterattacks in this phase do statuses, and again, to squeeze out more damage, the 2Bs are not wearing status immunity. So we're going to use other units to hit first. So Maeve gets 2 of the counters. The last one's going to go to Kaito. Nicole's going to summon that field for the bigger Imperil. And then we're going to go to the base form with our now modify boosted 2Bs and get some real burst going on in phase 2. And we're going to match that with the Kaito LB, which is also refilled. And this whole party is built and all the actions are planned out to where there's no RNG on getting LBs. They're always going to be filled guaranteed through either plan A or plan B. There's a plan B sometimes, but they're always going to be refilled with one of our actions. Anyway, it's time to burst. So we're going to click Kaito first, and we're going to send all these chainers and get this done. This phase is immune to disease. We can't have the big flashy burst, but we did 42%. And we're going to go ahead and again, Kresnik. So because we brave shifted the 2Bs, Kresnik plus his all the stuff, guaranteed LB refill. Good to go. Here's some attacks. We mirage them, no big deal. On the other hand, phase 2 is annoying because it does have the shield. Oh, it can be poisoned, by the way. Again, it was poisoned by Kaito's weapon. So, this shield, the defense and spirit buff, cannot be dispelled, but it can be Kaito'd. So we're going to use Kaito to get rid of it. Before we do that, let's go ahead and LB our Maeve again for more Mirage. Let's shift our Nicole and do the shifted LB for a bigger water amplify. And let's do the shifted LB of Kresnik for for the human killer buff. We're not using many killer buffs this clear, but we are using a few. Kresnik does human killer. Okay, now we're going to use Kaito to Magnus to get rid of the shield, and then just double deep. And as you can see, no more defense buff. And we're going to burst. Now, that being said, we're not going to shift the 2B this turn, which is going to cause us to get less LB gauge. You got to brave shift every single turn to keep that Call of the Wild active. We're not going to shift this turn because we really want to finish off this phase. So we're going to go ahead and just burst right now. The shift form LB is a lot weaker. So we're going to burst again in the base form and get phase 2 handled. Because phase 2 is really annoying. We're going to get out of here. Get it done. Handled. Boom. Now it is time for phase 3. That said, notice the 2Bs have a lot less LB gauge this turn. Now, of course, we didn't use Kresnik yet either. Anyway. So we're going to go ahead and first of all on, this is phase 3. So phase 3, we're going to go ahead and use Maeve to limit first. We're now going to use Kresnik. Before we do that, let's have Kresnik do his normal attack and 4 times. You'll notice if this time it probably will not fill the 2Bs. It didn't. Okay, sometimes with RNG and crystal drops, you can still fill them. It didn't. That's okay. We go to plan B. We've always got a plan B for this clear. So on this plan B, Nicole will do the filling. So Nicole will use True Enhancing Stance. That's a guaranteed fill the rest of the way. And then we're going to double flood, again, for counterattacks. We need counterattacks to spread out among the party. So there we go. Kaito is now going to do crashing for the auto break every turn, and then just double deep. And then we're going to shift the 2Bs and do the shifted LB to put the modifier boost back up. Now, this is phase 3. In phase 3, the boss is the worst. She dispels herself every single turn. She dispels us every other turn, starting with this turn. So we're getting dispelled this turn. And she berserks every 3 turns, starting with this turn. We're getting berserk this turn as well. The berserk is RNG targeting, but unlike most skills, it does obey camouflage. So because Maeve, Kresnik, and Kaito are wearing 100 camouflage, they're not going to get berserked. It does ignore provoke. Now, there's going to be a 1 in 3 chance it goes to Nicole or one of the 2Bs. We want it to go to Nicole. That'd be the dream scenario. If Nicole gets the berserk, we're going to win on turn 8, and it's going to be glorious. Most of the time, the boss loves to irritate me by berserking one of the 2Bs. And I'm not going to run this fight anymore hoping for that good RNG. The fight takes too long. So if the boss does berserk one of our 2Bs, like before, we're going to plan B. It'll be a slower clear. We're going to kill it on turn 9. It ain't going to be that much slower. But it'll be a turn slower if a 2B does get berserked. Anyway, so we're going to go ahead and click Kaito first, and then we're going to go ahead and chain this up and do some burst damage and get that modifier boost. The modifier boost of 2B cannot be dispelled. So some counterattacks, we're spreading them out a little bit, and then the attacks on the party. There's the dispel, and then here comes the berserk. Oh, the boss is cooperating! The boss is, this is glorious. I ran this fight like 4 or 5 times. The boss would not berserk Nicole. He kept berserking the friend. Barry is like a magnet for berserk. I finally decide, forget it. We're just going to go along with it. And the boss, for the final take, decides to berserk. We're going to get a turn 8 clear. This is awesome. Okay, we're shifting gears. Back to plan A. I've got a plan for this too. Not a problem. Okay, so we're going to use Maeve to LB again. I'm actually not even used to this. I'm used to the boss berserking constantly. So because the boss did that, actually, 1, 2, yeah, we're gonna berserk with Maeve, then to the base form, back to plan A. So now we're gonna use, we got dispelled, by the way. Remember, we got completely dispelled this turn. So Kaito is going to end the base form, re-imbue us. We're going to Swelling Current for the Amplify as well as Demon Killer buff. And Kresnik autocast the Human Killer every turn. And we're going to Tranquil Flow to, again, spread out those counterattacks. We don't want all the counterattacks going to one person because that'll eat through too many of our Mirages. Kresnik will normal attack, and to the base form, where we are going to wait for Kresnik to finish. And there we go. And because we Brave Shifted last turn, all we need is Kresnik. Anytime we Brave Shift, Kresnik is enough to fill the LB gauge because of Call of the Wild. It only activates the turn you Brave Shift. Anyway, let's burst for harder than we would if we didn't. Now, if one of the 2Bs had been Berserk, it wouldn't matter that much because the partner would be Berserked and not helping chain. But that's a tag chain that turn, so you can single burst one of the 2Bs and it would be fine. Anyway, turn 5, the boss doesn't really do anything, so that's fine. We're not dispelled, we're not berserked, nothing bad happened. The boss always dispels herself, though, so keep that in mind. Okay, so I'm really not used to the turn A route. I'm used to the boss berserking our 2Bs, and this is different than I'm used to. So give me a second as I reorient myself. So we don't need we're imbued, right? I'm so used to going route B, where the boss berserks the 2B and Nicole does all the buffing. Okay, in that case, we're gonna go ahead and LB here. I'm really sorry. The boss has been not cooperating. The boss has been very uncooperative. All right, so we're actually going to deep. We gotta spread the LBs out. We gotta spread the counters out. So we're gonna use you. We gotta shift. We gotta shift. Even though her mod boost is still active, we gotta shift every turn to guarantee fill that LB gauge with the Call of the Wild. Because if one of these ends with not a filled LB on a turn we're not ready for, it would be bad. So we're gonna LBU. We're gonna LBU. Kaito will deep, double destabilizing, and we're going to do the 2Bs. I like this plan better. Okay. Not bad. Turn 6, we're getting dispelled again. We love getting dispelled. We really do. The boss always dispels herself. And here comes our dispel. There it is. Dispel. Great. Why do we just counterattack? Oh, because Nicole gave us counterattack. That might mess... Oh, this might mess it up a little bit. Might mess it up a little bit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay, we got dispelled. So we need Nicole to do... Oh, this is a little awkward. A little awkward. All right, Maeve is going to... Kresnik. I'm telling you, in my practice runs, the boss berserk 2B every time, and I have the 2B route memorized when she gets berserked, but the boss... I'm kind of like a fish out of water right now. I'm not used to the boss not berserking 2B. This is better. We're gonna get a quick clear because of it, but it's just I'm not used to it. All right, we got to re-imbue. So let's imbue. And I don't want to double hit with Nicole, so we're gonna imbue and flood. But I want to do Maeve first. So Maeve is gonna wild guard, run wild, and practice swing. And we're going to imbue. Okay. And now we're going to chain. Yep. Turn 8 clear. Okay. Yes. And the counters got spread out. That worked. That worked great. There it is. So here's someone's getting berserked. At this point, I don't care. 2B, Nicole, doesn't matter. I swear, Barry again. Barry gets berserked non-stop. Barry is a magnet for those berserks. All the test runs, every test run, Barry got berserked. I memorized what to do when Barry got berserked on turn 4. At this point, I don't care. The fight's over. I'm going to win right here. So we're going to just use Kresnik to do his thing. Did we get dispelled that turn? We did not get dispelled that turn. So we're going to just use Nicole to do LB. And we're just going to burst yet again in the base form with 2B. And that should be the end of the boss. Boom. 8-turn clear because the boss cooperated finally and berserked the person that I wanted. And I didn't really have that planned out entirely because I didn't get any test runs with that because all the test runs he kept berserking 2B. Anyway, we got it. 8 turns. Asura 8-star. No, oh my god, 8-star. We're not there yet. Asura 3-star. All missions. We summoned the Leviathan Fields. We evoked an Esper. We didn't use items. And we killed with an LB. There it is. So here is the exciting party that we used. Nicole is full evasion, a lot of mana reduction because his amplify costs 1,000 mana. You really don't need this card. You could also use like the Prodigal card, Practiced Prodigy from Oliveira. Anyway, there we go. Everybody needs death immunity. Death immunity because the boss does death a lot in phase 3. We immune all. So everybody needs death immunity. I gave him provoke. The boss ignores provoke. I don't know why. It's like just in case, whatever. You don't need provoke because the boss completely ignores provoke. Ignores it. Status immunity. You want status immunity on everyone. Some Esper fill, and there we go. Base form identical, and you want a minimum of 10 LB per turn and full evasion. That way he's guaranteed to get his LB every turn that we need it. 10 LB per turn and all the rest. There it is. Maeve, in the base form, is using Death Immunity, Pause of Prosperity. That fills her LB gauge every turn over the cap. Her LB gauge is 60, so she's getting 40 per turn from Kresnik, 5 per turn guaranteed from Prosperity, and we've got 1,000% fill rate and 12 LB per turn. So she's getting 57 LB per turn guaranteed with 1,000% or 950 fill rate. So all she needs is one single crystal per turn and she'll be good. If she ever doesn't get her LB, we can go to plan B. There's always a plan B. We can go to plan B and use Wild Guard. Now, if we did Wild Guard as an emergency factor, we wouldn't have had Wild Guard available to use things like Run Wild for a stat buff after a Dispel. So our damage would have gone down, but it would have been fine. We had a plan for everything. Totally fine. Never use the shift form. And don't equip her Trust Mastery or STMR because that will activate her auto cover and bad things will happen. And the vision card was Wygar's approved. For the first time ever, we actually use this garbage vision card because it gives fill rate. That is the only reason we use this vision card is for fill rate. Kresnik, both forms geared identical. Dragon's Brush, so we can get his LB by turn 3. Actually, it's not even required. No, you don't even need that because he does his normal attack times 4 in turns 1. Yeah, his LB is guaranteed with nothing filled. Anyway, quad attacking, death immunity, full evasion for the turn 1 stuff. And yeah, status immunity and evasion card. And he has 100% camouflage naturally. And by the way, 100% camouflage on 100% camouflage on Maeve with the Raven Cloak. That will make her not get targeted by the Berserk. Same thing with Kresnik. Kresnik has 100% camouflage naturally in his kit. Blessing of Caduceus, 100% camouflage. So he won't get targeted by Berserk either, as long as someone else is alive. Kaito in the shift form is dual wielding with a rainbow whip because of the stat specs. This gives us disease in phase 1 and poison in phase 2. Other than that, some mana reduction, full evasion, double camouflage. These give 50 apiece. I think camouflage stacks multiplicatively, so he only technically had 75% camouflage, not 100. If you're not getting 100% from a single source like Raven Cape or a natural passive, each additional source of camouflage multiplicatively increases it. So this was 50 plus 50 equals actually 75. So he had a 25% chance of getting berserked, which is pretty low, but it was there, and he didn't get Berserk, so we're fine. Just a mana card. And yeah, support unit does water stuff. Shift form identical. Also, he had 10 LB per turn. Actually, no, he didn't. He had 7 because I messed up the build somehow. Oh, I couldn't fit it. Whatever. He had his LB all the times that we needed it. And then 2B in both. This is my 2B in both forms, geared identical. Mine's only EX2. LB damage versus humans, demons, and reapers. A triple race boss. Here's the build. Now, here's the key. Call of the Wild. This activates anytime you Brave Shift and gives you 8 extra LB on top of the 12 LB per turn we're getting right here. So 12 LB per turn, that's 5 from the STMR, that's 2 from Call of the Wild, and then we're getting 7 more from Guardian of Light Kyrie. If you don't have Kyrie, Riku is just fine. You'll still be at the cap. That gives us 12 LB per turn, 8 extra every time we shift, and 40 from Kresnik, and that fills up her 60 LB gauge perfectly. Perfectly. No RNG, except for the turn that if she gets berserked, she wouldn't because she can't shift when she gets berserked, but she never got berserked. So there we go. And then the turn we didn't shift intentionally, which is turn 3. Like I said, we had plan. We always have plan B. So there it is. Shift form, base form, same thing. Maxed LB, maxed human. Only 250 Reaper and Demon because I couldn't fit anymore because I needed all that LB fill. And Death Immunity from Kurisame's STMR. The whole party had Death Immunity from some source or another. I'm not going to go through all of them and show you. And then here is D. Barry's EX3 2B. Same exact build. Identical. Thank you for 2B. In mine was the same vision card. There you go. And thank you for D. Barry for building me the exact same 2B, but his is EX3. And his did get the 100 Amplify on turn 3. So the damage breakdown, he cheated a little bit. He definitely cheated. But, oh wow, he only did 800,000 million. 800 million more. Ooh, that's a lot. Yeah, he's EX3, and he got the big Amplify. Anyway, I've talked way more than I should have about the setup of the party. The video was just mostly for fun, but the hardest trial of all, way harder than Asura, is the friends list. I spent so long this afternoon fighting the friends list to get me a proper 2B for this fight, and Barry, came clutch in the end. But I don't want to name everyone else. There was like 6 other people that built me. I wind up forgetting somebody, and they'll be insulted. There were quite a few other friends of mine that did build me 2Bs as well. So huge thank you to the rest of you. But I can only take 1 friend per trial. Anyway, hope it was enjoyable. There you go. See you next time.